What's good, y'all? This your boy Black G92. Now, for this evening, hold on, let me go ahead and turn this up a little bit. Matter of fact, it's all the way turned up anyway. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a reaction to Feel the Glow, the Naomi story, the full career documentary made by the YouTube channel titled, hold up, what's the shit? Damn, I just skipping ahead. Hold up. Wrestle with Andy. Yeah, Wrestle with Andy. Guess it's another of those WWE documentary channels, what you may call it. And shout out to the person who gave me this video to react to. I finally got around to it. I seen a few people react to it, so I finally get around to it. So hey, don't hey, well, so it'll all be done for this evening and whatnot. So I'm gonna see what this documentary is looking like in about 3, 2, 1.
Over the past decade, Naomi has become one of the all-time greats of WWE's women's division.
That's what's up.
Yes, from her time spent in the original incarnation of NXT, all the way to becoming a multiple-time champion and beyond. Naomi has been on one hell of a ride. But how did she get to this point? Well, join us today as we take a deep dive into her entire career journey so far in Feel the Glow, the Naomi story.
And she just looks so pretty.
Trinity McRae was born on November 30th, 1987 in Sanford, Florida, and it was there that, while studying at high school, she would develop an early interest in dancing. In fact, she'd get so heavily into dance at this period that, soon after graduating, she'd start working as a background dancer, most notably for rapper Flo Rida.
Okay.
Come August of 2009.
And so she was on the music video for Low. Now I'm gonna have to rewatch that if I can catch a glimpse, because she does kind of look familiar, if I'm not mistaken.
However, the youngster would start following a different career path as, soon after this, she was scouted by WWE, with them from there signing her up to a developmental contract and sending her over to Florida Championship Wrestling so she could learn the ropes.
Okay.
And quickly falling in love with the ways of the ring then, Trinity would continue to work on honing her skills as she prepared for her debut match later that October, a match which saw her team up with Alex Riley to take on AJ Lee and Brett DiBiase. After that, she'd return to her training sessions for a while, all before eventually getting a chance to get involved in some singles action when she faced off against Serena Deeb on the June 20th, 2010 episode of FCW TV. And on this night, despite going up against a far more experienced opponent, Naomi would actually be able to pick up not only the win, but the honor of becoming the inaugural FCW.
That's what's up, and look at those abs, god damn!
Having to prove herself as a fighting champion despite still being a rookie,
Jesus, she was fit way back then. Damn, that's some good looking six packs over there, man. She definitely was dedicated to fitness for sure. Especially with her dancing background, if that dancing background definitely has something to do with it for sure, like just remaining fit and all that. So, hey,
enter into a feud with AJ Lee, which saw both the FCW Divas title and Queen of FCW titles be up for grabs at various points. In the end, though, both women would keep the respective belts around their waist as, following that, the former dancer was announced as a member of the upcoming NXT Season 3.
Okay.
As fans watching at the time will know, though, this was before the black and gold era of NXT, when it was regularly putting on some of the best wrestling in the world. No, instead, this was the early game show incarnation of the developmental brand.
Yeah, I can tell
the likes
with the
of
whole
indie
setup.
stars such as Bryan Danielson and Low-Key have to square off in a series of comedic challenges. And while this wasn't exactly a big hit with the hardcore fan base, it did lead to 5 seasons worth of the format, with this third year being focused entirely around up-and-coming female prospects.
Okay.
Among these prospects then were rookies such as AJ Lee, Caitlyn, and of course Naomi herself, with the latter being allocated technical wrestling wizard Kelly Kelly as her mentor throughout the show. So, with the power of Kelly's knowledge driving her forward, the Florida girl would start racking up wins against her fellow contestants in the weeks after, whether this be in the form of quick in-ring victories or by completing challenges before her opponents could. And ultimately, this would see her become one of the final 2 left during this last week of the show, with the only woman left standing in her path at this point being Caitlyn. But despite how much she'd managed to improve herself in such a short space of time, Naomi would fail to win the final fan vote, leaving her to finish second in the competition. And to make matters worse, after this, she'd return to FCW, where she'd lose her Divas title to AJ Lee, too.
Damn,
Luckily,
talk
though,
about a double
even though
win.
she hadn't won NXT Season 3, management in WWE saw enough in her that, In January of 2012, she'd be brought up to the main roster as a member of the Funkadactyls,
Okay,
a
so
pair of
some
dancing
worked out
ballets for
eventually.
Brodus Clay, which also included Cameron.
Like they're having a good
And
old
this
time
wouldn't
right
be
there.
the first time that Naomi and Cameron had worked together as it happened because, well, in FCW, the two had briefly teamed up as the Booty Poppin' Dance Group, together
Well,
picking up wins against the likes of
quite the
Oksana.
name, the Booty Poppin' Dance Crew. Now, it's kind of obvious why they get that name, where the name came from. I mean, I haven't seen the clips or anything like that, but I wouldn't mind seeing something like that, though. So, probably for research purposes and all that. Well, not even research purposes, probably in a reaction video sometime in the future or live stream.
Maxine, Leah West, and Eva Lise. So, already having built a chemistry together then, the two would go on to even greater success on the main roster when, after debuting on the January 9th episode of Raw, they'd spend the next few weeks dancing both Brodus and his mama out to the ring. Then at the pre-show for the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view on December 16th of that year, they finally got to make their in-ring debut when they took part in a Santa's Little Helper match, basically a battle royal where all the women on the roster were dressed as Santa Claus. This was still the era of WWE where women's wrestling was treated like little more than titillation for the men watching, but doing the best she could with what she had to work with, Naomi was able to ultimately win this battle royal, booking herself a shot at the then Divas champion Eve Torres later that night. Unfortunately, though, when the time for that match came, the rookie's lack of experience would prove to be her downfall, as she would fail to win the title, with her from there instead being forced to return to tag team action as, in the weeks and months that followed this, the Funkadactyls would begin a feud with Tamina Snuka and Oksana. And this would all eventually lead to a tag team match between the two sides on the February 6, 2013 episode of Main Event, a match that the two dancers were able to win in the end.
Okay.
So with their confidence now rising, they'd segue into a program with the Bella Twins, which saw the two
Yeah,
teams
what's up
face
with the
off
blurry
on numerous
image?
occasions over the next few weeks. At one point, even getting some of the men involved too when, at WrestleMania 29 on April 7th, 2013, an 8-person tag was booked to take place pitting the Funkadactyls, Brodus Clay, and Tensai against the Bellas, Cody Rhodes, and Damian Sandow.
Quite the lineup right there.
Though, due to time constraints arising out of some matches running over that night, this one would end up getting canceled, leaving everyone involved disappointed that they didn't get their chance to shine on the Showcase of the Immortals. Then, to make matters worse for Naomi and her partner, soon after this, they would face off against the Bellas in the March 21st episode of NXT, there losing to them after Nikki was able to get a pinfall over Cameron. So needing some form of revenge, Naomi would face off against Brie Bella one-on-one on the April 29th episode of Raw. And there, despite the heels trying to pick up a screwy victory with the help of some twin magic, it would ultimately be the babyface who reigned victorious as, from there, she was finally able to move on to better things.
Okay.
These better things would see her get a chance to expose herself to a larger audience when, later that year, she would become a member of the new E! Entertainment reality show, Total Divas, a half-hour documentary-style look into the lives of some of WWE's most prominent female stars of the time. But that's not all she was doing, as around that same time, Naomi would release her first single entitled Dance All Night.
Oh, she
is later
did
being
music?
accompanied by a music video released on WWE's YouTube page.
Hello.
Back in the ring, however, things would not be all roses, as that summer, then Divas champion AJ Lee had decided to wage war on all of the cast members of Total Divas. And her reason for doing this was that she felt them getting involved in a Kardashian-style reality show was only helping to bring women's wrestling further down and solidified the idea that it was lesser than what the men were doing. Obviously disagreeing with this, though, both Naomi and Cameron would take it to the ring on the November 22nd episode of SmackDown when they battled it out with AJ in a handicap match, there defeating her and earning some measure of revenge.
Okay.
Soon after that, both Funkadactyls would be part of the 4-on-4 Survivor Series elimination match, which saw them team up with the Bella Twins, Eva Marie, JoJo, and Natalya to defeat AJ, Caitlyn, Alicia Fox, Oksana, Rosa Mendez, Summer Rae, and Tamina Snuka.
Wow.
And as if all this in-ring success wasn't enough, around this time, Naomi's personal life was also reaching new heights as she would get engaged to her boyfriend Jonathan Fatu, someone better known to WWE fans as Jimmy Uso. Yes, the two had begun dating after meeting backstage sometime prior to this, and With their relationship now being taken to the next level, it would mean that Naomi would finally become part of the famed Anoa'i family through marriage once they finally tied the knot in January of 2014.
How romantic.
But even if she was now a newlywed, it didn't mean she'd have the chance to slow down, as back in the ring, her career would take another turn when the Funkadactyls split from Brodus Clay, with this leading to them from there briefly aligning themselves with R-Truth and Xavier Woods. After that, though, an orbital bone injury would put the Florida girl on the shelf for a while, leading to her largely remaining off of TV until March of 2014, at which point she would return to take part in the Vicky Guerrero Invitational at WrestleMania 30. And despite ultimately losing that match after she was forced to tap out to AJ Lee, Naomi would soon be able to work her way up the ranks again to the point where, at June 29th's Money in the Bank pay-per-view, she'd find herself going one-on-one with then Divas champion Paige. During that bout, though, it would be the anti-diva who proved to be the better woman come the end, and after a battle which raged for 7 minutes and 2 seconds, she was able to retain her title. And as if that wasn't bad enough, around this time, Naomi would also find herself getting into WWE favorite storyline when her and her partner Cameron started having difficulties coexisting. Of course, by now it was clear that the Florida native was the real star of the duo, though. And so when things eventually blew up and the two had a singles match at the July 20th Battleground pre-show, it would be her who got the win. Then, continuing to build on this momentum from there, she'd pick up another victory over Cameron on the September 15th episode of Raw, all before ending up being
hold up. Well, shit, I gotta head outside real quick. I got a text message, so I'm gonna have to cut this reaction short. So I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Peace. Your boy Black G92 back at it for tonight to cap off the remainder of the Feel the Glow Naomi story career documentary that I've started not yesterday, but last night before I had to leave out, hang out with some friends of mine. So I'm going to go ahead and see what the remainder of this documentary is looking like in about 3, 2, 1. Yep, let's go. I decided to start back over in the 10:30 mark, so I then could just get back to the vibe of it and everything. But
was done, the former cheerleader would return to singles competition.
I gotta sit through this damn ad though.
I'm an idiot.
I still have not seen the first Shazam, but I heard some good things about it. So I'm actually excited about seeing this one.
What am I even? Episode of Raw, she'd take place in a battle royal to determine the number one contender to the Divas title. Ultimately, though, after failing to win this, Naomi would turn on the eventual winner, Paige, morphing into a heel from there as, with the anti-diva now being kayfabe injured, the Florida girl would take her place in the title match against Nikki Bella at April 26th's Extreme Rules.
Okay.
And when a returning Brie Bella helped her sister get the win that night, the heel would go on to align herself with Tamina as, together, they set their sights on destroying the twins and ridding the WWE of them once and for all. In the end, this would prove to be easier said than done as, despite defeating the babyface duo at March 17th's Payback, Nikki would be able to retain her title during the subsequent one-on-one encounter with Tamina. And the same thing would happen at May 31st's Elimination Chamber 2, when the champ faced off against Naomi and Paige in a triple threat match. So finally, having had enough of the Bellas running roughshod over the division, Stephanie McMahon would come out on the July 13th episode of Raw to announce that she was formally starting what she then labeled the Divas Revolution, a period which would see the women be given stronger competition and, overall, be treated as more serious athletes similar to the men.
That's what's up.
So to start this revolution off with a bang, Stephanie would call Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair up to the main roster. From there, letting things devolve into faction warfare as the Bellas and Alicia Fox found themselves feuding with both the trio. July 13th episode of Raw to announce that she was formally starting what she then labeled the Divas Revolution, a period which would see the women be given stronger competition and, overall, be treated as more serious athletes similar to the men. So to start this revolution off with a bang, Stephanie would call Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair up to the main roster. From there, letting things devolve into faction warfare as the Bellas and Alicia Fox found themselves feuding with both the trio of Charlotte, Becky, and Paige, and Sasha, Tamina, and Naomi.
That's always with, revolutions.
And going by the
fighting.
moniker of Team Bad, the latter three girls would quickly become a standout of the early days of the Divas Revolution, regularly going to war with the other trios involved and, on many occasions, picking up the win by the end.
Okay.
Ultimately, though,
Impressive.
at that point, it was clear the big star of Team Bad was Sasha Banks, and so, on the
Obviously.
February 1st, 2016 episode of Raw, when she chose to leave the group, Naomi and Tamina would take it personal, attacking her from there, and starting a
Double
feud
team.
which saw the Boss partner up with Becky Lynch to defeat the two heels at February 21st.
Damn, look at those
Backlash.
submissions.
Following that, the
Woo,
Florida
I know that
Girls'
has to be
bad luck
painful.
would continue when, after losing a 10-woman tag at that year's WrestleMania 32 pre-show, she'd tear a tendon in her ankle, something which forced her onto the injury shelf for the next couple of
I know
months.
that had to be painful.
When she finally did return after that in July, she'd be picked up by SmackDown as part of the revived brand extension. And so now a Blue Brand exclusive then, Naomi would debut a new gimmick for herself, one which saw her play a babyface once more, coming down to the ring with glow lights in tow, akin to that of a raver party girl. So now, fully feeling the glow, she would make it her
Nah,
way-
that's probably where they got the title for this documentary from that little era right there. And by the way, she definitely rocked that look. For real, I need to see some highlight clips of her rocking that neon lights, that old raver girl vibe. By the way, I might have to check out an actual rave, by the way. I have to check out one.
become the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion at September 11th's Backlash, when she became part of a six-pack elimination challenge to determine who got the honor. And despite being in the ring with the likes of Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Bella, and Carmella that night, Naomi would put on a strong effort, at points looking like she might even win the whole thing, up until she was eventually eliminated by Natalya, that was. Following that, she'd take place in that November Survivor Series 4-on-4 elimination match, teaming up with Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Natalya to represent Team SmackDown. Unfortunately, though, Team Blue would end up losing this one, and so, feeling the need to take some time away and regroup, the former cheerleader would disappear for the next couple of months, eventually returning on the January 24th,
Okay, I'm actually
2017
talking that
episode
shit.
of SmackDown to confront then-champion Alexa Bliss. And the time she'd taken away would ultimately prove to help her during the feud that followed, because after continuing to get in the goddess's face over the next few weeks, she'd eventually get to face her one-on-one at February 12th's Elimination Chamber, there defeating her to win the SmackDown Women's title, the first major singles title of her career. Unfortunately, though, Naomi would have to forfeit the title the following week on SmackDown due to injury, with Alexa Bliss winning back the newly vacant title later that same night. All of this would lead to WrestleMania 33, where in a six-pack challenge, Naomi would win back the title she never lost, walking out of the Showcase of the Immortals on top of the division.
That's what's up, man. Hats off to Naomi winning back that title. That's what's up. And as based on how you describing this little era right here, in this little segment right here about these six-pack matches and eliminations and whatnot, they look pretty epic. I'm gonna have to check out more of this. Keep those reaction requests coming. I'll get to them as soon as I can for sure. So hey, I'm enjoying this.
Yes, it had been a long journey in getting there, one which had seen her develop right in front of fans' eyes. And this, of course, had allowed those fans to develop a special bond with the Florida girl so that, as she continued to defend her title over the next few months, they'd be in her corner every time, cheering her on to get the win as she took on the likes of Lana. Ultimately, though, despite getting her own custom glow-in-the-dark title belt at one point, Naomi's run on top would come to an end at that August SummerSlam as, there, she would come up against the Hart family's own Natalya. And proving to be the better woman on that particular night then, the Canadian would be able to take home the gold for herself come the end of the bout, ending Naomi's reign at 140 days.
Damn.
Still, even if she had lost the belt, holding it for such a length of time had established her as a true main event player in the division, and so, following this, the now former champion would continue to play an important role on the Blue brand as, come November 19th Survivor Series, she'd take part in the 5-on-5 brand warfare elimination match, there getting to eliminate Raw team captain Alicia Fox before eventually being beaten by Sasha Banks.
Damn. I know that little hold right there is painful.
The
as
new
hell.
$2 cheesy double beef burritos.
Look like Sasha
A
Banks
three-cheese
gave her a
blend
run
with
for her
melty
money in that
nacho
match.
cheese sauce and double the season.
And hoping to bounce back from this defeat, she'd entered the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble
Feel the
match in
glow.
January of 2018, there hoping to reassert her dominance over the division by winning the whole thing.
Wow.
Upon being eliminated by Nia Jax that night, however, any plans she had of going up to the main event of WrestleMania 34 were scrapped, as instead she'd have to settle for an appearance on the pre-show when she entered the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. But even if she wasn't on the main show, the former SmackDown Women's Champion would make the best of this spot when, after last eliminating Bayley, she'd win the match, finally getting to make up for losing the Royal Rumble a few months
I know she
earlier.
happy.
Then following this, she'd take part in some more firsts when, on June 18th, she'd take part in the first ever Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Then in October, she'd be involved in the first ever women's only WWE pay-per-view, Evolution. There, competing in another Battle Royal. Victory in this one would ultimately prove to be out of her reach, however, and to make matters worse, during the annual 5-on-5 Brand Warfare elimination match at the following month's Survivor Series, the former cheerleader would be the first woman eliminated. So it was clear she had to shake things up again in order to get herself back on track, something she would eventually do when she began realigning herself on screen with her husband Jimmy Uso. And the reason this would happen was because at that time, Mandy Rose had started making Jimmy the object of her affections. So wanting to remind her who he was married to then, Naomi would spend the first few months of 2019 feuding with Rose as the two traded wins back and forth.
Whoop her ass.
This would all come to an abrupt end in April, however, as at that point, the SmackDown mainstay would be moved over to Raw during that year's draft, something which had the knock-on effect of giving her a whole new host of opponents to face off against, such as Dana Brooke, Ember Moon, and Nikki Cross. Sadly, though, much of 2019 would be spent outside of the ring for the former women's champion as, following the death of a close relative, she'd take some time away, returning in January of 2020 when she entered that year's Royal Rumble match. After that, it would be full steam ahead once more as she'd return to the blue brand to challenge Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship at the February 27th Saudi Arabia show Super Showdown. Then, the next month at WrestleMania 36, she'd take place in a 5-way elimination match for the same title.
I like her outfit right there. All the different pinks and greens and yellows going on. I like that. It definitely suits her. It definitely suits her whole her persona and personality for sure. Based on these clips, just going by the clips and the few matches I've reacted to on the channel. So I fucks with that look right there.
They're going up against Bayley, Sasha Banks, Tamina, and Lacey Evans. Despite her best efforts, though, she wouldn't be able to win either of these bouts, and so, needing to refresh herself once more, by October, the former women's champion would be drafted back over to Raw. And once there, she re-entered the tag team division when, at WrestleMania 37, she'd teamed with Lana as part of a tag team turmoil match. Following the duo's failure to earn a shot at the women's tag team titles that night, though, Naomi would once again begin a downward spiral that saw her be drafted back over to SmackDown in August of 2021. Then, to make matters worse, upon her arrival on the blue brand, she'd find herself the target of abuse from on-screen authority figure Sonya Deville. Luckily for the Florida native, however, when the two finally met in the ring in early 2022, she was able to end her streak of bad luck by defeating the heel. And riding the wave from there, she'd next enter into a tag team with Sasha Banks, as at WrestleMania 38 that April, the two would compete in a 4-way tag match for the women's tag team titles, ultimately winning come the end. So now with gold around her waist once more, it seems like Naomi is ready to dominate the women's division again. And with one of the best female performers of her generation in the form of Sasha Banks by her side, there's no reason the two won't hold on to the tag team titles for a long time to come, because as she's proven so often, whether it's as a single star or part of a duo, Naomi will always be able to make fans feel the glow every time she comes through the curtain. Well guys, what did you think of the video? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, as well as follow Wrestle with Andy on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. I like this guy. He did a great documentary showcasing one of the popular female wrestlers, which was Naomi, and based on the stuff he highlighted, she definitely has quite the career going forward. And I'm definitely interested in seeing some maybe clip or two of her recent matches, of course, for this year. And she definitely gonna do a lot of good things as well alongside Sasha Banks. So it's like, and I heard a lot of good things about Sasha Banks as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing something about Sasha Banks as well on this channel. So keep them reactions coming. And I was thoroughly entertained by this documentary. It gives you a glimpse of where Naomi started, and like her highs and her lows, and her bright future ahead. So I'm very impressed. I like it. It gave me a good overall good display of like Naomi. So I like it. So appreciate that for the reaction request. It's like someone like in the conversation saying Naomi deserves her flowers. She's been putting in work. Is all around incredible performer. Oh yeah. But if this documentary is going by, if this documentary says anything about it, yeah, she definitely is a. It seems like an incredible performer for certain something. How poetic uploads right before WWE tries to stand up to their own name off, stand up for herself. She just truly deserves all the praise. One of the best ever. Okay. That's dope. See, a lot of people showing love in the comment section. So, if you want me to interact with more of these documentaries or, say, songs, music videos, countdowns, movie clips, or like trailers for the latest movies or TV shows, well, not TV shows, as well as shows that'll premiere on Netflix and these streaming sites, as well as interviews and analysis videos, be sure to post them in the comment section below. And if this is your first time watching this reaction video, be sure to hit that like button, hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button to stay tuned to what I have in store. And shout out to all of my 703 subscribers on the channel. So salute to y'all for supporting your boy, and those that's new to the channel, be sure to let your friends know about it and let everybody know about this channel. The road to 1K subscribers is still up and running, so keep on supporting the channel and let people know about it. So hey, hats off to y'all. If it weren't for y'all, I wouldn't be doing this. But anyway, if you want to follow me on my social media accounts that we post in the description box below, and also if you're able to hit that donation link to my Cash App to help support the channel, what may have you. It's your boy Black G92 about to sign off. Holla at your boy. Peace.